Hi friends, a little bit of different format today, my reflection, because I've been having computer and camera problems. Um, yes, it happens. I sometimes get baffled by the technology, as we all do. Uh, Today I would like to reflect on a well-known passage, and that is the story of Nicodemus coming to Jesus in the dark. And the piece of it that I want to hold up is this idea of coming in the dark to find the answers. Um, I think that I may have reflected on the Nicodemus story sometime in the last few months. It's up to you to, if you can remember that, to go back and find it and see if you can see if I've said the same thing. There's a richness to this story, so I have no concerns that there might be something more we can gain from it looking at it. Certainly in the last months of this pandemic, it's been almost 8 months now or more, we have been like Nicodemus in the dark. We started off in this place and we went searching for answers from the experts, our leaders, the health officials, and sometimes they told us things that later they would tell us different. Remember the business about the masks? They weren't saying masks were a big deal and that much of an advantage back in January and February. Um, but now they're encouraging us to wear them when we're out and about and can't keep a good social distance. I think it is even more so. I think that it provides protection when in ways that we don't yet fully understand. There has been evidence of that. So even our leaders and even the experts came with some into this with some uh, lack of insight, right? Lack of being in the light. Nicodemus comes to Jesus in the dark. He is, in his society, the expert. He's the one that's supposed to know it all. A leader of the people, a teacher of the people. And yet he comes from the light into the darkness to seek answers. In the Gospel of John, there's always these contrasts: light and darkness, life and death, abundance and scarcity. Um, and also Nicodemus as a wise, learned teacher of Israel, Jesus as a peasant holy man that seems to have none of the traditional education or wisdom. He comes with wisdom from above or wisdom from God rather than wisdom of human beings, right? To a certain degree, he comes with folk wisdom, saying things that most people would probably say, yes, that makes sense. Although, in the Gospel of John and other Gospels, he says bizarre things and no one understands. So, this is what happens to Nicodemus. From his learned wisdom, he comes to Jesus in the dark, and Jesus says things that just don't make sense. You have to be born from above, born again. Here's what I think we can take out of this. In the last 8 months, we have been, to a certain degree, in the dark. Seeking and hoping to find information that we can guide our lives by, seeking and hoping to find a way out, right? And we all know there's been all sorts of wild suggestions of what will work and what won't work. And sometimes things have changed, right? What is the best way of doing things? What is the best way to respond? So we have this situation now where we are in the garden in the dark, seeking answers. The answers are something much more different than what we expect. We may come looking for answers on how do we keep ourselves safe, but the answers might be about being reborn, renewed, all of culture, all of society, something new and amazing happening in the world. That's what I hope for. Look at the things that are starting to come out in conversations. Universal basic income that some in the United Church are supporting. And you might get the pushback. You might feel, oh no, we can't do that. How can we afford that? That'll make people lazy and everything else. But it's demonstrated to work in places. It's a very complex, it seems like a very complex idea, but is it not what we're called to do is to make sure in our society people are fed, housed, clothed, and they have the medical attention they need. They're taken care of. Isn't that a compassionate response? We could never consider this, except that now the pandemic has changed everything. People all receive the $2,000 a month if they are unemployed because of the COVID-19 or other reasons. And for those 6 or 7 months that it's been happening, there hasn't been a big onslaught of laziness in our culture. And what they say is consumer debt has gone down, and that people have been using this money for their basic needs. And it's then benefited the whole economy. The other piece is the big push now for much more talk about climate change and climate action. Today, Friday, the 25th, there's actually a climate action protest demonstration happening around the world. Things are changing and need to change. We are in a darkness of the pandemic. But the rebirth isn't just back to normal because now the pandemic's over. The rebirth is a change in our own ways and a change in all of the culture and society, not just for Canada, but for the whole world. A change of the way we're doing things as humanity. That's my hope. That's my prayer. That's my inspiration, that this will change things enough that the world will change. The world will be saved and safer for our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, 7 generations down. That's what we're working for now. We're not working for making it better in 10 years. We're working to make it better in 100 years and beyond. And we are called to do that, so that when we're long gone from the face of this earth, dwelling with the Holy One in the full presence of God, we can know that the world is safe, and that the world has changed, and the destruction has stopped, and that people are cared for. A new day, a new world, a jubilee, a renewal of the earth, a birth from above. We are Nicodemus in the darkness, asking questions and wondering which direction to go. And we're being given ideas and thoughts and directions that are perhaps outside our imagination and hope. But it's what's needed. The world has to change. And just as Nicodemus was directed in ways he didn't expect, so we are too. And so we must be, for the sake of our own lives, for the lives of our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, all those that come after us, for the sake of all of creation. It's time for a new heaven and a new earth, a renewal of all. Let it be so. Blessings, friend. God be with you. Amen.